I am officially exhausted. So it is day one of the Burgschneider challenge. I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing, but hey, this doesn't look terrible. Hello, it is day 4 of the Burgschneider challenge. I have had a shower. It is late at night. It's freezing outside, so I'm under a blanket. And I've had to order more embroidery thread because despite the fact that I had a load of it, it's almost all gone due to what I think is some pretty decent work, to be honest. This isn't, considering I look like a mess. It's been a long weekend. I look terrible, but that looks okay. Hey party members, welcome to a slightly different type of video today where I explain to you about a project I've been working on recently. Now, I know I've mentioned this before, but I am a big fan of Burgschneider. Burgschneider are a company based in Germany. Pretty sure it's Germany. Yes, Germany. Thank goodness. So Burgschneider are a company based in Germany, and they are well known for creating good quality Larp reenactment medieval style clothing. The clothing is really good quality. It generally comes rather unadorned with, very dramatic, unique patterns. And generally, when you compare the cost to the quality, it's good value for money. However, a few years ago, Burgschneider took a rather interesting approach to their marketing. They created what is known as the Burgschneider Challenge. The Burgschneider Challenge is very simple. What essentially you do is you buy one of the selection of clothing that they have assigned for the challenge at a discount through a discount code that you get from signing up to the challenge, and your aim is to customize whatever you buy and then post your progress on their Facebook page, on Instagram, and essentially then show the finished product to show how you have customized their costume. And then at the end of each cycle, which is about every 3-4 months, they pick their 3 favorite entries and they give them a gift voucher. First prize is a $100 gift voucher. Second prize is $50, and third prize is $25. I could be wrong. The correct numbers will appear here if I am wrong. And you know what? Season 5 of the challenge came up and I went, I'm going to give that a go. I want to, try and win money for more costumes. Because I am generally throwing money at this YouTube channel, which makes costuming very, very hard to do at the moment. And I need costume for new characters that I'm playing. So, yeah. I decided to, get a bit of costume a little bit cheaper and customize it to make it look really cool. There was just one small snag. I can't sew at all. I can, use a needle and thread and kind of stitch something so it doesn't fall apart. But when you're actually asking me to make clothes, no. I'll be honest with you. I've not used a sewing machine. I'm going to be really honest with you. I've not used a sewing machine since I was 13. Oh, and that was a while ago. I'm not that old. But I'm definitely a lot older than 13. So yeah, I knew I was going to be in for an interesting experience. But you know, why not try something new? So I got this cloak. It's called the Afro Cloak. It is a beautiful red colour. And I decided that I was going to try and make a bit of kit for my Empire character Turn by making her an autumn leaf themed cloak. Which seemed very ambitious when I was taking my inspiration from Keyleth's like mantle from, you know, Critical Role Campaign 1. It was an ambitious task. So, you may ask why I'm making this video if I'm here to tell you about why I can't sew and everything. Well, the thing is a lot of us don't have a lot of confidence about making costumes for ourselves. I know I'm not the only person out here who can't sew or make costumes to save themselves. And it always means that essentially we have to have custom costumes made by other people, which, don't get me wrong, is brilliant. There are so many beautiful, talented costume creators out there and they all make amazing stuff. But sometimes there's just a little bit of a sort of twinge when I see somebody with an amazing costume that they've made themselves, and I feel like I can never really have that joy. And I know other people, like some of you guys watching this video, may feel that way as well. So I decided to record my progress as I went along designing this ridiculous cloak. So I drew up a concept sketch, which looked terrible, but generally gave a bit of an idea of exactly how I wanted it to look. And then I got about trying to sew this thing. So I got some embroidery thread off Amazon. I got it in this gold colour because I was thinking like autumn leaves and twigs, and that would be gold, and I would just embroider it all over and then create a small sort of leaf mantle around the top of it. I looked at lots of different leaves, but I ultimately decided on felt, because felt, believe it or not, is a very old material, and therefore even if it is brightly coloured, it still is appropriate for a costume that is supposed to be dated, as opposed to some of the other kind of fake leaves you can find online, which all look kind of realistic, but when you touch them, they're really obviously like plastic or polyester, and it's just, no, that's not what I wanted. So I decided to go for leaves that kind of looked fake because they're made of felt, but had that felty texture to them that made them feel a little bit more authentic in my head. I don't know if that necessarily comes across, but hey, let's go for it. So what I did was I did the embroidery on the hood, thought it looked fantastic, and moved on to the mantle. And what I did was I pinned all of the leaves on to show roughly where I wanted them to be. And I posted it on the Burgschneider Facebook page, which is a place that they encourage you to join. It's for all of the people undertaking the challenge. And so you can, you know, show your progress, cheer each other on, and maybe give each other some tips if you're not quite sure how you're going to do things. And I posted it on there. People were quite complimentary. They were honest and said that that was a lot of work I was creating for myself, and I absolutely agreed. But I was in too deep at that point, so, you know, just gotta, you know, keep going. So I pinned them all down, and I had it in this beautiful gradient effect, going sort of from reddish brown at the top down to green at the bottom. And I had it as a mantle because I couldn't get enough leaves to do the whole cloak. I am not rich enough to do it. Leaves were not cheap. I don't think I actually saved any money on this cloak. I'm 99% certain that I spent more money on the leaves and on the embroidery thread than the difference between the discount and the full priced item. But I have a custom cloak now, so meh. And once I had them all pinned down and laid out exactly where I wanted them, I then got hit by the biggest snag in my life and this entire project, which is that I don't own or know how to use a sewing machine, which meant I had to stitch all of these leaves by hand. Every single one. So I did what any sensible millennial would do, and I went online and found somebody who could teach me what the hell I needed to be doing. And I found this wonderful page on Instagram. It's called Pick and Stitch, and it was absolutely brilliant because this wonderful, wonderful lady, Jacqueline, have put together all of these beautiful little videos showing me exactly how to do all of the stitches I need to do to hold this thing together. I have never been so grateful for this Instagram page in my life. If you ever want to attempt sewing and like, you know, doing like embroidery or just learning how to sew in general, seriously, follow Pick and Stitch on Instagram. They are so helpful. So helpful. And I underwent this task of essentially having to sew all of these leaves on by hand, and it took me weeks. And I mean weeks. I literally would stay up late at night, like putting on, you know, maybe 10 to 15 a night. I think I've sewn over like 100 leaves onto this thing, I'm pretty sure. I've not counted them all, but it's gotta be more than 100. And some weeks I couldn't bear to look at it, so I just didn't bother. But then I had to keep going. I had to get all of this gradient down, and I had to make sure that all of the leaves were covering the stitches of the previous leaves so that it all looked relatively natural. Unfortunately, the dark thread at the top was all hidden in because I was also using the same colour thread, so it wouldn't show on the inside of the lining. I have never thought so much about colours in my entire life since I started this project. But, you know, I got to the end of that, and it looked really, really cool. And I thought, you know what, I can do this. This is fine. And I picked up the cloak and I had a good look at it. And that was the moment I realised that I am a terrible embroider, and the leaves that I had painstakingly embroidered weeks and weeks before on that hood looked awful. And I mean absolutely awful. So I had to go in and think of something else to do. And I realised that I had all these leaves left over. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to unpick all of the embroidered leaves. I'll leave the little twigs, I'll unpick the leaves, and I'm just going to stitch on some of these leftover leaves across the hood and sort of create it to make it look like someone had taken essentially a bunch of leaves and dumped them over me. And some of them were kind of laying on the, you know, top, and some had kind of laid to rest in this nice mantle across my shoulders. And I went in and unpicked all of the leaves, which took forever because I had done way more than I think I probably should have. And then I started stitching all of these wonderful leaves all over the hood, and it looked great. I thought it looked absolutely gorgeous. And then I realised that the bottom of the cloak looked really bare and really empty. And that was the moment I realised I was going to have to do the same thing I'd done to the hood, to the whole thing. I'll be honest with you, I felt like I'd gone in with a clear plan. I had a sketch which looked like a clear plan, but as it went on to trying to make this thing look better and better and better, I essentially had to keep changing it, which meant it was taking forever. But you know what? I was very determined to complete this challenge because I've never, ever made a decent piece of costume before. So I sat down and I embroidered all of those twigs onto the, you know, lower half of the cloak, and I stitched on all those leaves onto the lower half of the cloak as well. And it looked all right. It looked okay. I'm not going to lie. I think it looks all right. And then the last bit, I didn't like the ties on the cloak at all. I didn't like that there was one up here, and then there was these two bits, loopy things, and then there was one down here. And I think what was intended essentially is that it's designed that you take off whichever ones you're not going to use, I think is the idea. I may be wrong, but that's what I did. So I decided that I wanted the ties to look a little bit different, and I took some inspiration from Game of Thrones. There is a cloak that Sansa Stark wears when she is escaping from King's Landing after, spoiler alert, Joffrey is murdered. If that ruins Game of Thrones for you, wow, you're behind. And she has this gorgeous purple cloak with this like massive hood. But what's really interesting about it is it's not tied up here. It's got these two beautiful long cords that cross over her chest and then tie behind her back. And which gives it this very sort of billowy, elegant look that I absolutely just loved. And I wanted to see if there was a way I could kind of emulate that. So I ordered some cord online and I unpicked all of the little sort of ties. So they were all gone and I discarded them. And I tied on these cords, which are stupidly long. I think they're probably over 6 feet long each. But that's okay, because what I kind of like is that I can tie it around my back and then around my front, and it has this nice sort of loop and dangly bit that I think looks quite elegant. But I felt like it looked a bit plain, so I ended up getting these wooden beads, which I got off Amazon. They weren't very expensive, and I only needed about 12 of them, but it came in like a pack of 50. So I've now got a load of beads that I can do another project with at some point. And I just slipped them onto the end and then sewed the end up nice and neat so that they can't fall off and so it's not going to fray. And generally it all just looks really neat and tidy. And I think it looks all right. I think I have done an okay job, all things considered. I mean, look at it. I think it looks great. It's quite cute. I think it really brings out the autumn theme that I really wanted. And I love the tie going around the waist. I think it looks elegant and interesting, and it will look wonderful with a corset and a billowy skirt. So yeah, I'm quite happy with what I've done. It's been a really interesting few months because I've never been so dedicated to a piece of costume in my life. I usually just buy my costume from various places, maybe stick on a couple of accessories and go, yeah, it's fine. I look good. But this is the first bit of costume that I have ever sort of built for myself. And I've taken some real pride in it. I understand why people take pride in making their own costumes. But this first piece that I think looks quite decent means a lot to me. I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself for taking this challenge on. So I want to say that I've really enjoyed doing the Burgschneider challenge. The costume contest closes on the 17th of March, so I'm literally like less than a week away before the end of it. I'm ready to submit, so I'm going to be taking some photos of me in this thing before that week is up. And I'm going to show how great it looks, and fingers crossed I will win a prize. But even if I don't, this has been a really fun and interesting activity I've done, and I intend to enter another one as soon as possible. So if you guys have ever looked at the Burgschneider challenge and have thought maybe I would like to do that, I really recommend it. It helps you build some skills if you don't have already. It really challenges your creative thinking, and you end up with a bit of kit that hopefully you feel really proud of. So yeah, I wanted to share this wonderful sort of, little journey I've been on with you. And I hope that you will take the journey with me on the next one. I will be signing up for Burgschneider's Challenge Season 6 as soon as it comes up. I will let all of you guys know when I do, so hopefully some of us can do it together and we can have a load of fun. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you're feeling safe. I hope you're staying healthy, and I will see you on a battlefield soon. Bye.